Hey guys, welcome back and hello if you are new. I hope all of you are having a fantastic week so far. I'm still, festivaling all over the place. I was at Arctangent this weekend, which was absolutely brilliant. However, what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today is the brand new album from Nile. So this is their second following Dallas Tola Wade's departure from the band. It's their first on a new label home in the form of Napalm Records, and it is their 10th overall full-length release. So join me as I'm talking about The Underworld Awaits Us All. So if you're not familiar with Nile, the band are pretty much a completely unique entity. They are characterized by fiercely technical death metal with a bit of groove, but very much entrenched in atmosphere. And their niche is maybe the most niche of niches, which is Egyptian-themed death metal. And essentially, this is kind of ranged over the years from sort of pharaohs, mummies, and things which are kind of like quite surface level to, cultural identities and movements using different instruments. So one of the problems I had with some of the more recent output from Nile is that it can be a little bit samey. But thankfully, I think that Underworld has kind of changed that a little bit. The album erupts with the first track, Stele of Vultures, and deep breath. Chapter for not being hung upside down on a stake in the underworld, being made to eat feces by the four apes. I did it. So that level of speed is definitely kept ramped up throughout the album, and Under the Curse of the One God is, literally has riffs that could just cleave people in half. And with this album, I think there's different scales which are being used alongside kind of some of the more traditional output that Nile have had in the past. And I definitely think that the double whammy of the True Gods of the Desert and The Underworld Awaits Us All are some of the more original tracks that we've heard from Nile. There's also Nakada 2 Enter the Golden Age, which definitely kind of changes things up in terms of rhythms, the riffs. There's a really, really cool section that kind of reminded me a little bit of Slayer. On Nakada 2, there's also female singing, which is kind of like choir singing that really is not only something completely new for the band, but adds another sort of element to that sort of level of atmosphere, let's say. And these singers not only kind of enhance the dynamics, but, change the overall feel from the that we're kind of like so used to in Nile records. And of course, with any Nile record, there are sort of atmospheric interludes, but, the Pentagrammathion of Neferenka is sort of like a solo guitar piece, and it sounds almost like there's Spanish guitar kind of going on there, which for me, I think is something very different for the band. It's incorporating other sort of styles, but also kind of stays within that sort of orbit of what you might expect from a Nile record. I also thought that the title of the record was kind of cool because it's, of course, kind of referencing the underworld, which has always been, like a key sort of theme for Nile, but it's bringing that sense of, the nihilistic outlook of we're all completely screwed. It was kind of, bridging the gap between the older sort of ancient ideas and this new idea, and essentially there's not really a huge amount of difference. Personally, I did think there was more of a focus on the technical aspect of the band here. There were moments which it did sort of remind me a little bit of At the Gates of Setu. However, though, with speed does come a lot of venom, and I think To Strike with Secret Fang is literally a 1 minute and 59 second kind of, Nile succinct grindcore song, basically. It's got everything you would want from the band. That being said, though, there are some small elements of groove, like Doctrine of Last Things and True Gods of the Desert kind of have that sort of lurching kind of dum bum bum bum. And I do think that, similarly to At the Gates of Setu, that some of the production on here hinders that sort of weight that in the past we've had from Nile. I want this to feel like a pharaoh's sarcophagus falling on your head kind of thing. And sometimes it, even though you can hear everything, it's really clear, which I do like. There was just kind of maybe a little bit of bottom end that I was kind of like, it would be cool to have that sort of like real impact. So overall, The Underworld Awaits Us All is, I think, an experimental step in the right direction. And there are some tracks which kind of didn't quite land all the way through, But, you know, if there's sort of half, the first half isn't so great, the second half definitely kind of rebuilds what the song is offering. And so for that reason, I'm going to give this album an 8 out of 10. I think, you know, definitely recommended for Nile fans and for death metal fans for sure. But yeah, it's not going to sort of, you know, revolutionize anything. So thank you ever so much for checking this video. I really, really appreciate it. If you did enjoy what you saw, it'd be great if you could hit that like and subscribe button. It kills me to say it, but I have to. And I will see you guys very, very soon for more album reviews, interviews, all that good stuff. Chapter for not being hung up down. Chapter for not being hung up and... Chapter for not being hung upside down in the underworld by a stake. No. Chapter for not being hung upside down on a stake in the underworld, being made to eat feces by the 4 apes. Is it?